Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Morgan and I'm a huge makeup lover. Today, I'm going to try my hand at doing a smoky eye, all black look using the Smoke Show palette from ColourPop. So if that's something you'd be interested in seeing, go ahead and keep on watching. Also, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And won't spend too long here in the intro. Let's go ahead and get started. So I have already primed my eyes using my e.l.f. Eye Putty Primer. Again, this is in the shade Sand, my everyday go-to eyeshadow primer. And so for today's look, I kind of wanted to do a black look for, October, Halloween. So we're kind of jumping a little bit away from fall looks, I guess. So today I'm going to be using the Smoke Show palette from ColourPop. Now this palette is still available on ColourPop's website, but it's called Blowing Smoke now. So if you're wanting this palette, just look for Blowing Smoke is the new name. And then of course, if you're not familiar, this is what the palette looks like. Really, really pretty. Cool toned grayscale black palette. So to me, this screams Halloween. Of course, other than the shade orange, but I kind of don't want to do an orange look. And also, I'm not going to be doing like a whole lot of, costume related looks or cosplay or anything like that, mainly because I'm not super huge into Halloween. So I figured my one way to contribute would be trying to create a black look. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm a little nervous. I don't play with black eyeshadows a lot. So we're going to go ahead, use light hands, just from what I know from using black shadow, and kind of work with that from there. Okay, so getting started, I think what I'm actually going to go ahead and do is go in with this shade called Slated, which is this kind of gray shade right here. And I'm using a Luxie 205 tapered blending brush, so it's just a fluffy brush. And I'm going to use this shade Slated as my crease and maybe transition color, just seeing how it turns out on the eye. So we're gonna go ahead and jump in with that. I'd be curious to know if y'all are interested in Halloween or if you plan on dressing up or anything. I don't currently have any plans for Halloween, but I'm definitely open to it. But with, COVID and everything going on, I know it can be kind of tricky nowadays. I'm just kind of working the Slated shade into the crease area, kind of going up into the transition area, and just kind of building up as necessary. Also, my pup Louie is in here with me again today, so if you hear any noises, it's him. So the next shade I'm actually going to go into is going to be the matte black in the palette. It's called Let's Do It, and it's just, a matte black. And I'm going to take just a flat shader brush, any one will do, and I'm just going to be tapping this all over my lid. This is going to be my all over lid shade. And I think the pigment of this black is actually pretty good for, a lower end palette. So I'm just using a packing motion versus a swiping motion. At this particular point, I'm not super worried about blending. I'm just more so worried about getting the actual color on the lid. And as you can see, it is a pretty pigmented black shade. So yeah, y'all, I'm thinking this is gonna come together, so just hang with me. I'm just gonna take my crease brush that I use the color Slated, that gray shade. I'm not gonna add too much extra. I'm just gonna, tap in it, and we're gonna use that to help blend out the black shade that we just used. And me knowing ColourPop's formula, we are hoping that these two colors will blend together well, and it looks like that is the case. It just might take a little bit extra, oomph. So yeah, I think so far it's blending together pretty well. I'm just gonna keep working on it. I'm holding my brush a little bit further away from the barrel just to kind of help it give a softer blend. So it took me a little bit to blend. This is as good as it's going to get for me as far as, I'm not the blending queen here, but I think that everything looks pretty good so far. So next up, what I'm actually wanting to do is take one of the shimmer shades and apply that to the center of the lid. And again, my favorite brush for applying shimmers is the BH Cosmetics It's My Ray Ray number 8 brush. I actually don't know if this brush set is still available, but I'm sure BH sells something similar to this. I think I'm gonna take the shade Full Metal. So that's this one here. And I am going to apply this one to the center of the lid. And if we want to add something else, we always can. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. Oh yeah. Very pretty shade. Okay, so that's pretty. And I think I'm just gonna flip this brush over again, going back. I'm gonna go into the lighter shimmer shade in the palette. It's called Starstruck. It's this kind of, it looks white on camera, but it's more of just like a silver shimmer. And I'm gonna take a little bit of that and I'm gonna apply that directly to the center. And just kind of directly on top of where we put the Full Metal shade. And that's just gonna get it that halo effect that I was going for. Yeah, perfect. Ooh, see, I told y'all it would come together. So this is what we're working with right now. I'm gonna go ahead and do my lashes off camera. I'm not gonna put on any falsies or anything like that. I am gonna be using a new favorite mascara. So this is the Essence Bye Bye Panda Eyes. One of the newer ones they came out with. This is supposed to be smudge proof, volumizing, and defining mascara. I'm gonna go ahead and apply this to my top lashes for now, and I will be right back. We're gonna go ahead and do the lower lash line as well while we are here. So I'm actually just gonna be bold because I don't wanna get any, definitely do your eyes first. You don't wanna get this black shadow all over your perfect base. So definitely do your shadow first in this case. And for me, right now specifically, because I'm gonna take that matte black shade, again, it's called Let's Do It. And I'm gonna take the tip of that shader brush we use to apply the black, and I'm gonna press this up against my lower lash line. And then if you kind of wanna recreate what we did on the top, I'm just going to take the same brush that I used for my shimmer shade and just kind of do exactly what we did. So first I'm gonna go in with Full Metal, which was that deeper gray. And again, using the tip of the brush here, and we're gonna apply that to the center of the eye, like that. And now I'm gonna go in with the shade Starstruck, which was the lighter silver shade. And that one just gets applied kind of like right in the middle. Again, you're just copying exactly what you did on the top lash line. And if you want to blend that out a little bit, you can go ahead and, you know, just take the shader brush that you use for the black and the gray and kind of soften that up and, you know, blend it that way. We're just gonna go ahead and jump into the base. I think for this look, I kind of want more fuller coverage, so I'm actually gonna go in with my Born This Way concealer. This is gonna be in the shade Maple. This is their original formula. I have yet to try the matte one, but if y'all have tried it, let me know how it works. Before we do that, I almost forgot to prime my face. I'm gonna go ahead and take my Timeless Smoothing Primer by Tarte, and I'm gonna use that on my face. And I've actually been using a brush to apply this, so I've been using the Superstar Flawless Foundation Brush from IT Cosmetics. It's just in the shape of a star. And I'm going to use that. It just kind of gives you a smoothing effect to your face. But next we're just going to go ahead and dump some of this foundation onto an e.l.f. beauty sponge here. And I'm just going to go ahead and apply that to my face. All right, looking slightly orange. Sorry about that. I think that's probably more of my summer shade, and since I wasn't outside that much this summer, didn't get too much of a tan, so that's what I'm gonna blame that on. So next up, I'm just gonna take my Fenty concealer in the shade 385, and I'm gonna apply that to my under eye, and I'm gonna let that dry for a bit. So while I'm letting that dry, I figure since this is such like a full glam type of look, I actually want to do some cream contouring. So I'm going to take my cream bronzer from Fenty in the shade Chocolate, and I'm going to use this to cream contour my face here. And I'm going to start it out kind of far back here, just to kind of add that shadow effect. And we'll do the same thing over here. Again, add that shadow and the illusion that I have chiseledness, you know what I'm saying? Because your girl's not chiseled over here. What do they call it? The quarantine 15 is real. Just saying. So now that I've let that concealer dry, I'm going to go ahead and blend that out again, just with using the same e.l.f. sponge that we use for the foundation. And to set my under eyes, I'm going to be using my Laura Mercier translucent powder in the shade Honey. This is one of the newer shades she came out with, or the newest shade she came out with. And again, taking that on the e.l.f. Beauty sponge, and I'm going to use that to set the concealer that we just put on. To set the rest of my face, I'm going to use my Sephora Micro Smooth Powder in the shade Deep. This is what that looks like. I think it's a baked formula. I have been liking this to set my face. Then I'm just going to use any, just a big fluffy brush. Any brush that you have for this will work. Alright, next up for face, we're going to go ahead and bronze. Today I'm going to be using my Morphe Glamour Bronze Bronzer in the shade Trailblazer. And this is what mine looks like. And for this, I'm going to use my Too Faced Mr. Right brush. This one. And I'm going to use this to kind of help bring some color back into the skin. So for highlighter today, I'm actually going to use a matchstick from Fenty. This is the highlighter in the shade Cinnamon. And I'm going to use a brush here, grab some of the product off of the matchstick and apply it with a brush. And I feel like this is a good highlighter because like the eyes are so intense. I think that it's better to kind of keep the rest of the face kind of muted, if that makes sense. And this highlight in particular is sparkly, but it also is pretty close to my skin tone and blends in well. So I think it'll help kind of bring shine to the face without being too overpowering to go with the eyes. Sticking with the theme of keeping the face kind of neutral because of the eye look, I'm going to go ahead and take my Princess Tiana blush called Kissing a Frog from ColourPop. This is what this blush looks like. For me, it's like a good everyday blush, and it's also good because it's somewhat muted on me, which is kind of perfect for this particular look. It gives a flush without being too much. So to do my brows today, I'm going to be using my ABH Brow Powder Duo in the shade Ash Brown. Again, hit major pan on this, so this is what I'll be using for my brows. And then I'll just be using a random eyebrow brush to do this. And I'm now going to go in with my ColourPop Brow Gel in the shade Clear. I'm also going to go ahead and apply some mascara to my lower lash line as well. Just going to use the same exact one that I used on the top lashes. I also went ahead and added my black Fenty liner in the shade Cause I'm Black. This is a pencil one. I went ahead and added that to my waterline. And then the last step for the eyes, I think, is going to be just adding an inner corner highlight shade. And for that, I'm going to go back into the shade called Starstruck, which is this shimmery silver shade here in the middle. Now that we're done with the eye look, let's go ahead and talk about lips. So again, like I was saying, I want to keep it pretty neutral. What I think I'm going to do is just go ahead and apply a gloss to the lips with like no lip liner or anything like that. Just something super natural looking for the lips. So I'm just going to take my ColourPop Luxe lip gloss. This is in the shade Come Through. And it's kind of like a, a peachy wash with some, gold glitters in there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply that to my lips. Again, it doesn't have too much pigment, so it's not going to change the color of my lips any. I think it's just gonna add shine to them and just make them look more polished. If you want to add color, I would suggest doing something very neutral, like a brown shade, or if you're really bold, you can try to do black, but just something really natural that doesn't overpower the face between having bold lips and bold eyes. For me, it's usually picking one or the other. And the last step, I'm gonna go ahead and set my face using my new favorite setting spray. This is the Milani Fruit Fetish Make It Last spray. Mine is in the scent Dragon Fruit Peach. Love this. I bought a backup. And I'm gonna go ahead and take my sponge and just kind of tap any other areas that I really want that powder to set in and not move throughout the day. All right, y'all, so this is my take on a Halloween eyeshadow look. I think in the end it did end up coming together. I'm not used to seeing myself in full like black and gray eyeshadow, so it is kind of a shock for me. But overall, I think everything did turn out pretty. I think the way my skin looks and the finish on it looks really good. But overall, I think, you know, obviously the ColourPop palette is really good, and I enjoy the way this looks. Don't forget to let me know what your plans are for Halloween down below. Also, if you want to, you can let me know where you're gonna be for Halloween. I'd be super interested in hearing about that. And I'm gonna go ahead and sign off, and I will see y'all in my next one. Bye.